All right, good morning. I am back live for book one. I feel like starting tomorrow, I should read book one first and then read book two. So I think I'm going to change the order. So tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m., I'll start the book live read for book one first. I think that only makes sense because it just doesn't make sense for my kids who join later. I had my kids from summer school that's joining me now, so that's kind of exciting. All right, so Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell. And my kids from summer school, if you are listening right now, you should actually not be listening from chapter 6. I know you want to join me live, but you should actually listen all the way back and go back to The Wishing Spell. Go to the prologue because that kind of introduces you to the story and why, and it kind of tells you what's happening and why it's happening the way it's happening. And then, because if you just start listening from chapter 6, that's no fun. It's not what a book is about. You got to read the whole book, right? You got to listen to the whole thing. All right. So, chapter 6, Dwarf Forest. Let's see. Let's what's the word? Let's refresh our memory of what happened from yesterday, okay? Let me just take a quick sip of my coffee. I know it says hubby. I have one that says wifey somewhere. I think it's somewhere in this house. I got it as a wedding gift from one of my, actually, I got this as a wedding gift from one of my old students that I had, oh, 16, about 15 years ago. I had the student 15 years ago, and she gave this to me as a wedding gift last year. So sweet of her. Yeah, her name is Emily, and I think she's in college now studying marine biology. Yes, giving a little shout out to her. I told my student, one of my students also bought me another mug and they're going to send it to me. I told them I'm going to give them a shout out once I get it. So, yes, yes. All right. So, the Dwarf Forest, chapter 6. Oh, we got to refresh our memory from what happened yesterday. Let's see. Something about Froggy. Oh, they met a new character named Froggy, right? He's a man with a frog face, and so Alex and Connor are in this world and they're kind of new to this world, right? And they're scared and they don't know anybody and they're in danger, right? They're in a dangerous part of the town right now. Which one was it called? Was it called Dwarf Forest? No, where are they right now? They are at Troll. Are they at the Troll place? I forgot which town they're at. Let's see. Wolf. I know that there was like Wolf, the big bad wolf. Something about the crawl revolution. I see that right here. There's so many kingdoms, right? They got introduced to all these kingdoms. There's the Queen Snow White and King Charming. It's there. They have a. There's all these kingdoms. Where is it? There's the Corner Kingdom, the Sleeping Kingdom, the Eastern Kingdom, the what else kingdom is there? There's so many. I remember there was 6. The Fairy Kingdom, the Troll and Goblin territory. Oof. The Red Riding Hood Kingdom. What else was there? The Elf Empire. Right, I'm just kind of jumping around in the story. The Dwarf Forest. I think they're in the Dwarf Forest right now, right? It's not a very safe place right now. Let's see. Yes. It says it right here on page 130 on the left-hand side. It says, "Oh, children, you wouldn't be here if you knew where you were," Froggy said. "You're in the Dwarf Forest." And then I'm going to skip down a little bit. The Dwarf Forest, Alex said. What are the Dwarf Forests? You never heard of them? It's a very dangerous place. It's the only designated area of land without a ruler or a government. It's a kingdom where everyone is their own king. It used to be populated by dwarfs who worked in the mines, but now it's full of criminals and fugitives mostly. It's a place where people go when they don't want to be found. So that's where they are right now. Right? It's kind of dangerous at the Dwarf Forest. And Froggy kind of saved them because it was getting dark and the wolf pack was coming out and all the dangerous characters were coming out. And, they took a little nap and, they were given a little journal. And that journal has like humans don't really end up in this world, right? And so this one human actually wrote a journal about his whole adventure and collecting these items. I remember it was in a book. It says it on the top of the screen. It says, "What items does a spell require?" And it says all sorts from all over. But the journal gives great instructions on where and how to find them. And some of them are dangerous to get to, right? And it says, "If the spell will grant whatever wish you want, why didn't you search?" So this spell, so they have to collect all these items, and then they will be granted one wish, right? And what do you think their wish is going to be? Most likely to go home, right? All right, let's see. The Dwarf Forests. Oh my goodness gracious, my stomach is growling. I don't know if that was too loud. I don't know if you heard it, but I just had something. Hold on, let me just go on the chat real quick. Is that you, Angel, that's on here right now? I don't know if it's Angel or Emerson. I have a student. Emerson is my student that joins me like every day, and he's like the first one to see the stories, to listen to the stories. I know that. But Angel just recently joined us. I'm not sure who's on right now. All right, I'm going to read, and then maybe they'll chat. I'll read the chat. Sometimes I won't respond to it really quickly. Maybe I'll respond to it later, but I will respond to it eventually, okay? "I packed you some food, a couple of blankets, and a few gold coins I've been saving," Froggy told the twins. Remember, Froggy never goes out into public because he's so embarrassed about the way he looked, right? He got a spell put on him. Froggy told the twins and handed Connor a... What did he hand Connor? Sorry, my computer. Oh, I went too far forward. "A sheepskin satchel. Thank you so much," Alex said. "It's so kind of you. Now, when you say food, what exactly are you referring to?" Connor asked, holding the satchel a safe distance away from him. "Some rolls and apples," Froggy told them. "Oh, good," Connor said, relieved. Do you guys remember why he's relieved right now? Do you remember yesterday when they were drinking on the previous chapter? Froggy made him tea and asked him if he wanted flies with his tea. So he's a little skeptical about the food, about what to eat, right? "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Froggy asked them. "You're both awfully young to be going on a quest like this." Alex and Connor looked at each other, each thinking the same thing. It was hard enough to navigate around their own worlds at their age. Could they really travel around a different world together without the help of an adult? But the twins found reassurance in each other's eyes. They knew that, through it all, they'd at least have each other. "We really don't have any other choice," Alex said. "Thank you so much for your help, Froggy. We would still be lost in the woods without you." Froggy smiled widely and nodded. "Of course," he said. "I should be thanking you. I rarely have an opportunity to feel so useful." "Are you sure you don't want to come with us?" Alex asked. "A map is great and all, but a tour guide would be better." At first, Froggy's smile grew with excitement as he was tempted by the idea. The thought of traveling out into the world and leaving his hole in the ground home was so alluring. It was clear he could feel the temptation throughout his entire body. However, his fears and insecurities about the outside world, seeing him and what he had become, erased the opportunity from his mind. "I can't, children," Froggy said with a heavy heart, "but I wish you the best." The twins were disappointed, but they understood it was difficult for them even to go to school with just a small blemish on their faces. They couldn't imagine the stress of facing the world as an enormous amphibian, right? When you have like a little zit on your face, you kind of feel embarrassed to go to school. But imagine if you're like full of warts, right? And you're a frog, right? That's what an amphibian is. "It's very important that you get out of the dwarf forest by sundown," Froggy instructed. "Go to the path, travel south into the Corner Kingdom. It's a few hours' walk, but you'll be safer there. Travel as quickly and quietly as you can. Promise me." The twins promised. Alex gave Froggy a big hug and kissed his cheek. Connor shook his hand and wiped it on his pants. "I hope we see each other again," Alex told him. "That would be lovely, but for your sakes, I hope we don't," Froggy said and winked. Connor clapped his hand. "All right. Those items for the wishing spell aren't gonna find themselves, he said. Let's go. The twins pushed open the door and climbed up from inside the underground home. As they headed into the forest, Froggy waved goodbye until he was out of sight. Soon they were back on the dirt path they had landed on the previous day, and they headed south as they had been instructed. It was very unnerving for the twins to be alone on the path now that they understood the dangers of the forest. They regretted not trying harder to persuade Froggy into coming with them. They jumped at every tiny sound the trees made. Alex and Connor remained silent for the first hour or so as they walked, afraid that their voices would attract unwanted attention for some of the creatures Froggy had warned them about. We're very brave, Alex finally said to her brother, breaking the silence. Or very stupid, Connor said. The path curved through the forest, revealing new trees and bushes every few feet. After some time had passed, the twins could feel their nerves and tension calm. Their pace became slower and slower the more they walked, as they became more comfortable with being in the forest. Connor let out a long sigh. What's that for? Alex asked him. I was just thinking, Connor said. Alice went to Wonderland after she fell into a rabbit hole. Dorothy's whole house was scooped up by a tornado that dropped her off in Oz. The Narnia kids traveled through an old wardrobe, and we ended up in the fairy tale world by falling through a book. Where are you going with this, Connor? Alex asked. I'm just saying, it's kind of lame compared to the others, Connor said with another sigh. I wonder if there's a support group for people like us. You know, people who accidentally travel into other dimensions and whatnot. Alex was appalled. Do you not get how lucky we are? She said. Think about all the things we're going to see. Think about all the people we're going to meet. We're going to be experiencing things no one else in the world ever has. Connor rolled his eyes. I feel lucky. I'll feel lucky as soon as we get back home. Ooh, somebody's getting a little homesick, huh? Alex reached into her bag and pulled out their map. Her eyes became fixated on it, and she only looked up every minute or so to make sure she wasn't about to walk into a tree. Every few seconds, she'd snicker or smile when she discovered something new. She looked like a tourist. Shouldn't we be reading the journal? Connor asked. We need to make a list of the wishing spell items and find out where we can find them. We will, Alex said passively. There'll be plenty of time for that. Connor was getting frustrated with her. Did she not realize how serious the situation was? We need to go home, Connor said. What are we waiting for? There are just a couple of things I would like to see before we go home, Alex told them. Excuse me, what are you talking about? Connor said, his volume and temper rising. We're in the fairy tale world, Connor. We should make the most out of it while we're here, Alex said. Who else gets a chance to see Cinderella's palace or Jack's beanstalk or Rapunzel's tower in person? Alex's mouth and eyes grew wide open. He couldn't believe what his sister was saying. We're stuck in another world and you want to go sightseeing, he said. Are you hearing yourself right now? Do you know how crazy you sound? She stopped walking, turned to face her brother. There was seriousness and desperation in her eyes. Connor, the last year of our lives has been horrible. We've lost everything but Mom and each other, Alex said. Every night I've wished for a fairy godmother to magically appear and make everything better. And now we're in a place where that is a possibility. I don't have friends to go home to like you do. The only friends I've ever known live here. And I'm not going home until I meet them. Alex continued walking down the path. Connor was absolutely dumbstruck. Why am I being the logical one? Connor questioned. You're always overthinking everything. How are you not out of your mind with worry? What's there to worry about? Alex asked with a laugh. For starters, what's Mom gonna do when she finds out we're missing? Connor pointed out. She'll think we're kidnapped. And she has enough to worry about already. Alex knew he was right, but her desire to see the fairy tale world was so strong that she was able to ignore him. All I need is a day or two, Alex said. That'll give us plenty of time. How are you so sure these worlds were on the same time schedule? Connor panicked. Think about it. The stories of Cinderella and Red Riding Hood have been around for hundreds of years in our world, but it only seems like a decade or less has gone by here since. A couple days here, and Mom may be in her 80s when we get home. Connor rubbed his head, hurting from thinking so hard. Alex was listening more than she wanted to. He was practically repeating word for word what the logical voices in her head were saying. What if something happens while we're gone? Connor asked. What if we get back and apes or aliens have taken over our planet? If I miss that, I will never forgive you. Alex stopped walking and looked up from the map. A very odd expression appeared on her face. Didn't think of that, did you? Connor asked her. But Alex wasn't listening to him. Something else entirely had caught her attention. Do you smell that? Alex said. What? Connor said. All I smell are trees and dirt. Alex took a couple more steps further. No. It's something else. It's sweet, like something's baking. Connor sniffed. Sure enough, a scrumptious smell was drifting through the air. It smells like gingerbread, Alex said. She looked at her brother with large, excited eyes. Oh no, Connor said. Before he could stop her, Alex took off running into the trees, away from the path, toward the direction the aroma was coming from. Alex, wait, Connor ordered. Come back. You don't know where you're going. Alex bolted through the trees, jumping over boulders and bushes as she passed him. The scent became stronger and stronger the farther she strayed from the path. Connor was right behind her, urging her to turn around. Finally, Alex came to a halt, and Connor bumped into her. She had finally found exactly what she was hoping to see. What do you think she found? A small gingerbread home sat in between two large trees. White frosting covered its pointed roof. Gumdrops were clumped around like shrubbery, and candy canes lined the path to the front door like a picket fence. Look, Connor, Alex said, catching her breath. It's a gingerbread house, a real gingerbread house. Look how cute it is. Whoa, Connor said. I feel like I may get diabetes from just looking at this place. Let's go inside, Alex said, stepped toward the house. Connor grabbed her arm. Have you lost your mind? Do the words Hansel and Gretel cannibalism incident mean anything to you? I just want to take a peek inside for a second. Only a second. The door of the gingerbread house slowly opened. Alex and Connor froze. A large hooded figure squeezed out of the door and then raised its head to stare at the twins. What do you guys think? Should they go in? Would you go in if you were them? Ooh, I don't know. It looks like a pretty house. In my imagination, I imagine like a gingerbread house that I make during Christmas time, right? Ooh, sometimes I want to go inside my own gingerbread house. But this one, Hansel and Gretel, cannibalism. You guys know what cannibalism is? When people eat people. Those are cannibalism. That sounds a little scary, huh? So I'd be a little reluctant to go in too. Let's see. It was undoubtedly a witch. And although they had never seen a real witch to make a comparison to, she was more grotesque than they could have imagined. Her skin was wrinkled and pale, with a yellowish tint. Her eyes were bloodshot and bulged out of her head. She was hunched over and had an enormous hump on her back. Hello, children, the witch said. Her voice was high-pitched and crackly. Would you care to join me for a bite to eat? It was impossible for the twins to hide their fear. What do you guys think? They must be hungry. Should they go in? They both stood still staring at her, as if she were a rabid Tyrannosaurus Rex, about to pounce on them at any moment. No, thank you, Alex said. We're just passing by. You have a lovely home. They slowly backed up, 1 foot at a time. Wouldn't you like to come see inside? The witch asked. The inside of whom? Connor said, and Alex elbowed him. Don't be silly, kiddies. Come inside, said the witch, losing her patience. She extended an inviting, shaking hand toward them. They noticed it was covered in burn marks, perhaps from the last time she'd had visitors. I thought the witch died at the end of Hansel and Gretel, Alex whispered to Connor. Maybe she got a hold of a fire extinguisher after they left, Connor whispered back. They continued backing slowly away from her. Thank you so much for the invitation, but we really need to get going, Alex said. We're on a really tight schedule, Connor added. We're meeting a couple of dwarfs for coffee in half an hour, so we better get a move on. They quickly took off in the direction they'd come, but came to a jarring stop when the witch suddenly appeared in front of them with a bump. They tried running back the other way, but the witch just appeared in front of them again with a snap. They were trapped. You aren't going nowhere. Oh, you aren't going anywhere, the witch said. She seemed to grow taller, and her eyes bulged bigger as her patience ran out. Now be nice little chickies and follow me inside. Alex, this is like one of those bad videos about strangers from the first grade, Connor whispered to her. Do you still have your kidnapping whistle? You don't want to eat us, Alex told the witch. We've been walking for a while. So we're really dehydrated. We're practically just skin and bone. The witch was definitely growing. Her hump shrank as her body grew higher and higher. Your friend seems to be rather plump, the witch said, looking at Connor like a praying mantis about to strike. He has more than enough to spare. She was practically salivating. I beg your pardon, Connor was so offended. He forgot how terrifying she was. I'll have you know I'm on the edge of another growth spurt, and I always get a little pudgy before one. Connor, please don't. Alex tried, but it was too late. Why do you want your victims chubby anyway? Wouldn't it be healthier if they were muscular and fit? Connor said. The witch looked to the side and raised an eyebrow. She had never considered this. Her consideration must have distracted her from attacking the twins because she began to shrink back to her normal humped shape. If you ask me, Connor continued, you should turn your gingerbread house into a gingerbread gym and health club. Alex often couldn't believe the crazy things her brother said, but this one took the cake. What a delicious idea, the witch cackled. I'll rebuild as soon as I'm finished with you. The witch began to grow again, and this time her mouth opened wide and a set of jagged teeth grew out of it. She was going in for the attack. Alex screamed, "Wait!" with her hands covering her face. She said, "You owe him." The witch recoiled into a smaller form. I owe him? She asked. Yes. Isn't that how it works? Alex said. He presented you with an idea, and now you owe him a wish. A wish? The witch asked. A wish? Connor asked. Alex nodded convincingly. The witch grunted. Yes, the Happily Ever After Assembly just enacted a new law, Alex said, thinking on the tips of her toes. Any witch presented with a good idea must return the favor by granting a wish. Yeah, said Connor, going along with it. Don't make Mother Goose fly down here. She'll let her geese loose on you. And some of them lay golden eggs. And that can't feel good. Who knows how aggressive they'll be. Fine, the witch said. I shall grant you one wish, but only because I don't want to deal with those fluttering freaks again. Connor leaned close to his sister. What should I ask for? Should I wish to go home? He whispered. No, she'll try to trick us with she'll try to trick us with whatever we wish for. It has to be really specific, Alex said. Hurry, child. I'm hungry, the witch demanded. Okay, said Connor as fast as he could. It had to be a good one. It had to help them get out of this situation. I wish you become a vegetarian, he said to the witch. Alex turned her head sharply to her brother. That's what you picked? Very well, the witch shrieked. The twins weren't sure if she knew what a vegetarian was. She reached her hands toward the sky, clapped, making a sound as loud as thunder. The twins ducked, but the wish appeared to have done the trick. The witch's hump faded away. The yellowish tint of her skin disappeared, and the bloodshot eyes calmed. I've lost my appetite, the witch said. She shrugged her shoulders, turned away from Alex and Connor, and walked into the gingerbread home, slamming the door behind her. Alex and Connor took a deep breath. Whew! Their bodies had never been so tense. That was a close one, Alex said. You're welcome, Connor said. How do you think of wishing for her to become a vegetarian? Alex asked. Connor scratched his head. It was the only sure way I knew she wouldn't eat us. Alex smiled at him. She wasn't given too many moments to be proud of her brother. So, when the chance came, she soaked it up for all it was worth. Nice job, but let's get out of here in case your wish wears off. The twins hurried back to the forest until they returned to the path. They continued heading south, this time keeping to a faster pace. They had had their first dangerous encounter in the fairy tale world, and they weren't in any hurry for the next. Alex and Connor had been hurrying along the path for a while when Connor said, Alex, I've got to sit down. I feel like my legs are going to fall off. Connor, we have to keep moving. It's already afternoon, and Froggy said we need to cross into the Corner Kingdom before nightfall, Alex warned. Easy for him to say. He has frog legs, Connor said, through heavy breathing. Just a couple of minutes, and then we'll keep going. I promise. All right, let's find someplace safe, Alex said. They continued walking a little farther and found a pleasant opening between some trees. Connor had found a fallen tree to sit on and catch his breath. Alex looked around the trees of the forest, noticing that they were all different shapes and sizes and shades of green. She was still bewildered by everything that had happened. It's amazing, isn't it? Alex said. All of this had been at our fingertips the whole time, and we never knew. She took a seat next to her brother, grinning from ear to ear. What do you think Dad and Grandma would make of all this? Alex asked him. What do you think they would say if they knew all of it were actually real? From the way they always talked about fairy tales, you'd think they did, Connor said, and couldn't help but smile at the thought. I have 1,000 reasons why I wish Dad was still alive, Alex said, but now I wish it more than ever. Just so we could bring him back and show him all of this to him and Grandma. We have to get back first, Connor reminded her. And while we're on the subject, I think we should take a look at that journal. The sooner we read it, the sooner we can get back home. I know, she told him, but we should at least see a castle or a palace first. Dad and Grandma would have wanted us to. Connor grunted. Alex, we just barely escaped being a lunch for a witch. We can't waste any more time. What do you guys think? Should they look for a castle? I would. I'm a risk taker. The sounds of a few twigs snapping came from across the clearing as something approached. Alex and Connor ducked down behind the fallen tree, hidden from view. A cream-colored horse slowly traveled into the clearing. It picked up its hooves in a peculiar manner, as if it had been trained to tiptoe. A woman was riding the horse, and she looked cautiously around the clearing as they entered it. She was young and beautiful. Her eyes were big and blue, and her hair was half up and flowed into long golden curls. She wore a long maroon knit coat and black leggings and very tall boots. The woman and her horse moved covertly into the center of the clearing. Easy, Porridge, said the woman, stroking the horse. Ooh, you guys know who she is? Who has a horse named Porridge? Do you guys remember which fairy tale she's from? That's a good girl. Nice and slow, she hopped down from the horse and made her way to a tree. Alex could see some sort of paper was pinned to it, and after taking a closer look, saw it was the wanted poster for Goldilocks that she had seen from the day before. The woman shook her head after reading it. She ripped it off the tree and crumpled it up. "Who is that? What is she doing?" Connor whispered to his sister. "Do I look like a psychic to you?" Alex whispered back. "Who do you guys think it is?" Suddenly, the woman's head jerked in their direction. Whoever she was, she had a remarkable sense of hearing. She drew a large sword from inside her coat and raised it high in the air. Who do you guys think it is? Porridge, horse named Porridge. Let's see, what do you guys think? And has a sword. Who do you guys think it is? Her gaze was stern and determined. She was obviously someone to be reckoned with. She stepped closer to where Alex and Connor were hiding. A piercing wolf howl boomed through the forest. It was so loud that Alex and Connor covered their ears. The woman spun around and pointed her sword in the opposite direction of the twins. "Porridge, get ready. We're about to have company," she said. Who? Actually. Alex and Connor mouthed to each other. Creeping through the trees toward them were half a dozen wolves. However, the wolves were unlike any the twins had ever seen before. Let's visualize this. They were 4 times the size of any normal wolf of their world. Their fur was jet black and matted. Matted means tangled. Their eyes were red and their snouts were wide. These wolves were ready to kill at any minute. Without a doubt, the twins had come face to face with the big bad wolf pack. Remember that? That's what Froggy was telling them about. Alex and Connor held on to each other, shaking with fear. The woman in the maroon coat never showed a hint of panic. Oh, maroon coat? Maroon is kind of like a reddish, really, really dark red color. Who could that be? She pointed her sword at the largest of the wolves, standing in the middle of the pack. The wolves growled and gritted their teeth toward her. "Hello, Malum Claw," the woman said. "Hello, Goldilocks," Malum Claw growled. Ooh, it's Goldilocks, guys. The twins were both in silent hysterics. "Goldilocks, that's Goldilocks." Alex mouthed to Connor. "The wolf talks. It talks," he mouthed back at her. "I'm surprised you're not chained down in some Red Riding Hood Kingdom jail cell yet," Malum Claw said to Goldilocks. I'm surprised you haven't been turned into a rug for a child's nursery yet," Goldilocks said. Ooh, they're not talking very nice to each other. "What brings you to this part of the forest? There isn't an innocent village for your pack to torment for miles." Goldilocks never lowered her sword. The other wolves, in Malum Claw's pack slowly surrounded her and Porridge. "My pack is hungry. We've stopped for an afternoon snack," the wolf said. "Have you really come to eat me?" Goldilocks said. "I thought you've learned your lesson by now." I bite back. She gripped her sword even tighter. Malum Claw laughed. "The wolf can laugh. It can laugh," Connor mouthed to Alex. "You are far too small a portion," Malum Claw told her with an evil, wolfish grin. "Your horse, however, had plenty to go around." Alex and Connor had never seen a horse look as frightened as Porridge did. Had she not been so light-colored, they would have sworn she had gone pale. If you so much scratch her, I will wear you as a coat. Do you understand me?" Goldilocks warned him. "All people do in this world is eat one another," Connor whispered to Alex. As soon as he did, he knew he shouldn't have. A wolf turned in the twins' direction. "Malum Claw, I think I just heard something," it growled. Alex covered her mouth so as not to scream. The wolf began sniffing vigorously in the air. "I smell 2 children. I think I smell 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl." Goldilocks seemed as surprised as the rest of the wolves to learn this. So that was who she had heard behind her moments before. The twins could hear their own heartbeats, beating really fast. What was going to happen next? Was Goldilocks going to rat them out to save her horse? Had they just narrowly escaped being devoured by a witch only to be eaten by a pack of overgrown wolves? I'm afraid you just missed them, Goldilocks said. I frightened them away just like I frightened you the last time our paths crossed. Then, horse it is, Malenclaw declared. All the wolves howled together. It was deafening. They began circling Goldilocks and Porridge, getting closer and closer. The wolves snapped at them with their enormous jaws, and Goldilocks swung her sword at them. One wolf tried to pounce on Porridge, but the horse kicked him away with her hind legs. Another wolf tried to bite Goldilocks, but she struck him with her sword, drawing blood, and he whimpered away. Ooh, Goldilocks saved the twins, huh? Goldilocks was the best swordswoman the twins had ever seen. Anytime one of the wolves got so much as a claw close to her or her horse, she was quick to shield them. Porridge wasn't so bad herself. She wasn't shy about kicking away any wolf that was too close for comfort. A wolf leaped or leapt and sank his claws on Porridge's back. The horse bucked it to free itself. In one quick slice, Goldilocks chopped one of the wolf's paws off. He limped into the forest, howling in pain. The two wolves teamed up on Goldilocks. One leapt toward her, and she tripped over the other one. Her sword flew into the air and landed close to where the twins were hiding. Goldilocks was on the ground, unarmed. The wolves were closing in on her and the horse, going in for the kill. Catch! Connor yelled and tossed the sword straight to her. Goldilocks swung it hard at the wolves closing in on her, leaving large gashes in their muzzles. Retreat! Malenclaw ordered his pack. No snack is worth all this trouble. The wolves stampeded into the forest, growling and howling in anger, letting the rest of the forest know they were on their way. Until we meet again, Goldilocks, Malenclaw called out as he disappeared into the trees with the rest of the wolves. Goldilocks got to her feet and put her sword away. She was out of breath, and now that the enemy had left, much more vulnerable than she had shown in combat. She petted Porridge's nose and dabbed the horse's wounds with the fabric of her coat. Good girl, Porridge, Goldilocks said. She turned and faced the fallen tree Alex and Connor were hiding behind. You can come out now, Goldilocks said. The twins were hesitant at first. Then Connor popped out and exclaimed, That was awesome! Connor, Alex said, popping up beside him. That was one heck of a fight, Connor continued. You know, at first I really thought they had you. I never expected a girl and her horse could be any match for 6 hungry wolves. But you impressed me. Where did you learn to fight like that? Goldilocks was not amused by his enthusiasm. When you've been on the run as long as I have, you pick up a few tricks here and there. She turned around and remounted her horse with a jump. So, is it really you? Alex said. Are you really Goldilocks? The woman wanted dead or alive for all her crimes? Don't believe everything you read, she said sternly, and then pulled on Porridge's reins and galloped away. But she only traveled a few feet before she steered Porridge back to the twins. Thank you for your assistance, Goldilocks said. Connor nodded. Here, take this in case you need it. Goldilocks reached into the side of her boot and pulled out a silver dagger. She tossed it on the ground. Now get as far away from here as possible. Those wolves will be back sooner than you expect. And with that said, Goldilocks and Porridge galloped off into the forest. Alex and Connor stood motionless, watching her ride off out of sight. That was amazing, Connor said. He retrieved the dagger from the ground and put it inside their satchel. As terrifying as that was, it was kind of nice to see another human for a change. We'd better get out of here, Alex said. And this time we aren't stopping until we're out of the dwarf forests. Connor couldn't agree more. The twins continued down the dirt path, running this time. They had experienced more danger today than they had ever experienced in their entire lives. Unfortunately for them, it wouldn't be their last encounter with Goldilocks, the big bad wolf pack, or the dwarf forests. And that is the end of chapter 6. Tomorrow I'll be reading chapter 7, and it's called Rapunzel's Tower. Ooh, what do you think this is? Rapunzel's Tower. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be reading the green book first, which is the wishing spell. Sorry, I was trying to look at the book. I'm going to be reading the wishing spell first at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and then reading the Enchantress Returns, okay? So join me tomorrow at 10 if you want to hear chapter 7. All right, don't forget to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.